I am the secret guard of His Highness, the Crown Prince. After a grand banquet, the Crown Prince was unknowingly administered a fertility elixir by a nefarious official. By sheer coincidence, I was present at the scene, and in a moment of lost reason, the prince drew me into his embrace. 3 months later, on a certain day, I clutched my abdomen, my face pale with dread. Who can enlighten me as to why a man would bear a child? In the midst of chaos, I fled the capital, finally lowering my guard to enjoy a peaceful slumber. In that half-dream state, I felt someone caressing my lower abdomen and even planting a kiss upon it. Startled awake, I found myself ensconced in a familiar embrace. He held me tightly, trembling, his voice a raspy whisper. "Little Seven, how dare you take my child and leave alone? You are disobedient, and thus must be punished." 1. Recently, my appetite has surged, causing my garments to grow tight. When my superior approached, I was devouring my meal with fervor. In this vast world, nothing surpasses the act of eating. None shall impede my culinary endeavors. My superior removed his mask and delivered a sharp rap to my forehead. "Eat, eat, eat. 5 meals a day. Do you now consider yourself a mere glutton? Pray tell, why have you been switching shifts with a 5 so frequently this past month?" I ignored him, my heart heavy, as I immersed myself in my meal. Each meal could be my last. One day, it may all come to an end, so how could I not indulge while I can? A full stomach would at least allow me to die content. My superior let out a chuckle, unfazed by my rudeness, and seized my bowl with a serious countenance. "Because of this, His Highness inquired about you today." Upon hearing this, my body froze. A strange sensation suddenly coursed through my tightened abdomen. Reacting swiftly, I stood up abruptly and donned my mask. "Superior, I've had my fill. Please enjoy your meal." "Stop." Just as I was about to cross the threshold, I hesitated, yet without a moment's thought, I bolted outside. In my haste, I collided with a solid chest. The familiar scent sent a chill down my spine, and I quickly adjusted my posture, bowing my head and kneeling in greeting. "Greetings, Your Highness." My superior hurried to welcome him. "Greetings, Your Highness." A tumult of emotions whirled within me as I silently prayed for my superior to usher the prince inside swiftly so I could slip away. Yet, the prince stood before me motionless and silent. In that instant, the atmosphere dropped to a chilling stillness. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead. Why did he not depart? Had he discovered something? Anxiously, my mind raced, and my abdomen throbbed with tension. Noticing the disquiet, my superior spoke again. "May I inquire, Your Highness, if your visit to Wei Ing carries urgent matters to discuss?" The prince remained unresponsive. Just when I thought I could bear it no longer, he suddenly spoke. "Have you found the person?" My superior faltered, immediately offering his apologies. "Your Highness, forgive me. We have yet to locate him." Of course, he wouldn't find him. I had already taken care of all the clues. "Humph." The prince chuckled lightly, yet silence enveloped the air once more, as if he were waiting for something. "Ultimately, he cannot escape my grasp. Continue searching." No sooner had the prince uttered these words than a hand seized my wrist. Before I could react, a handsome face loomed closer. In that moment, I was grateful for my well-practiced habit. The mask concealed my flustered expression. Was it merely my imagination, or did I sense his breath catch, his body stiffen for a moment? Unsteady, I found myself collapsing back into the prince's arms. My heart raced with alarm, thinking, "This is disastrous. Your Highness, forgive me. I am at fault." Desperate to rise and flee, I discovered his arm encircling my waist. His hand rested upon my lower abdomen. Above me, the prince's melodious voice rang clear. "It has been quite some time since I last saw Little Seven. You seem to have gained some weight. It appears your health has improved." With that, he audaciously began to caress my waist. I was startled, my heart pounding fiercely. Though I had wrapped myself in silk, careful to conceal my condition, a discerning touch could still feel the changes. Hearing him say I had gained weight, I let out a sigh of relief. Indeed, who would suspect anything amiss? After all, I am a man. "Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I shall exercise more diligently and strive to restore my strength to serve you." As I spoke, I feigned an intention to distance myself from the prince. He teasingly toyed with the belt of my garment. Then, with a smile, he said, "Since Little Seven is so devoted to me, why not remain by my side and serve directly?" I was so taken aback that my body went limp, forgetting to resist. Thus, I failed to notice the triumphant smile that danced upon his lips. I was left contemplating how my original plan to feign death and escape was now only half fulfilled. What on earth should I do now? Under the persistent persuasion of my superior, I reluctantly packed my belongings and made my way to the Eastern Palace. His Highness instructed the eunuchs by his side to take my luggage and settle it. I followed silently behind him as he took a seat and regarded me with a slight furrow in his brow. "Remove your mask." I awkwardly replied, "Your Highness, that would not be appropriate. From this moment forth you shall serve by my side, and any connection to Wei Ying is severed. What purpose does that mask serve?" I was taken aback, raising my gaze to meet His Highness's deep, smiling eyes. My heart began to race uncontrollably. Surely, I was merely overly anxious. "Do you hesitate?" I foolishly nodded, silently wishing for him to reconsider. Yet, His Highness's smile faded, and he commanded coldly, "Come here." I dared not disobey, kneeling before him. "Please, Your Highness, retract your command. I am but a simple person, adept only with blade and sword. I fear I may not serve you well. I implore you to punish me." "So, you still cling to your ties with Ada and the others?" His icy tone sent a shiver down my spine. What did that have to do with them? Why was His Highness so fixated today? Normally, he would have dismissed me by now. Had he discovered something? Did he have to keep me here in the Eastern Palace? The more I pondered, the more uneasy I felt, my tightly wrapped abdomen beginning to ache once more. To my surprise, His Highness had already approached me, gripping my chin and forcing me to meet his gaze. With the other hand, he removed my mask and tossed it aside. Unveiled, it was the second time I faced him at such proximity. His cold demeanor melted away, a slight smile gracing his lips, infusing his expression with an unexpected warmth. I recalled that enchanting night. How absurd. He must be seeking to silence me. His Highness would never... "Little Seven, you are quite the sight. Do you have someone you admire?" His voice was laced with allure. My cheeks flushed involuntarily, and I quickly turned away, freeing my chin from his grasp. A chill ran through me, and I straightened my posture, kneeling once more. "To report to Your Highness. I have no one I admire." His Highness chuckled. "Ah, Little Seven." He tapped the table softly. "You seem to fear me." I shrank back, desperately ignoring the discomfort in my abdomen, holding my breath. "Your Highness is of celestial disposition. Naturally, I feel reverence." His Highness ceased his jesting. "Enough of that. I shan't tease you further. Go and settle in. Now that you are in the Eastern Palace, forget all that came before." I replied with a yes, and only then did His Highness seem satisfied to let me leave. It was only upon exiting the palace, when that penetrating gaze vanished, that I exhaled a sigh of relief. Reflecting on His Highness's unusual demeanor, I felt a jolt of anxiety. I mentally retraced my steps, searching for any overlooked evidence. Yet, no matter how I contemplated, I could not possibly be implicated. "Unless young Master Seven, your quarters are here." My thoughts were interrupted, and I thanked the attendant with a pale face. I was surprised to realize I had not traveled far. Why had I arrived at my destination so quickly? Turning back in confusion, I discovered it was adjacent to His Highness's chambers. I hastily called out to the eunuch, but was informed that it was His Highness's arrangement, and they could not change my residence. "By the way, young Master Seven, His Highness will be going hunting outside the capital in a few days. He instructed me to tell you to rest well and accompany him then." The envious gaze of the eunuch made me feel uncomfortable. After ensuring no one was watching, I closed the doors and windows of my room. Lowering the bed curtains, I shed my garments and cautiously unwrapped the cloth binding. The moment it came undone, a wave of relief washed over me. Gazing at my protruding abdomen, tears welled in my eyes, and I felt an inexplicable sense of grievance. Although His Highness was kind, he was still the crown prince. If it were discovered that he had a child with a man, it would surely cause an uproar. This child must remain concealed. Wiping my tears with determination, I scowled at my tear-stained hands and slammed them onto the bedding. Curse it! Why am I becoming more and more like a delicate lady? It must be this belly playing tricks. Contemplating the eunuch's mention of hunting, I resolved, for the sake of this little one, I could not be blamed for betraying my master. After all, being discovered means death. Escaping offers at least a chance of survival. Might as well take the risk. After a storm of thoughts, I intended to rewrap myself, but, for reasons unknown, I dozed off in a haze. In a half-dream state, I caught a whiff of a familiar fragrance. The scent lingered close to me, settling upon my abdomen. I seemed to hear a gentle laugh, feeling a soft touch against my belly. I wanted to awaken, but my eyes refused to open, and I succumbed to sleep once more. For these past few days, His Highness had indeed not summoned me. It was a rare moment of tranquility. Aside from meals and brief interactions, I remained secluded, allowing my belly to rest for several days. However, embarrassingly, I seemed to dream of someone every night, especially the night before our departure, which was particularly mortifying. Consequently, on the day of our journey, I felt utterly listless. Numerous officials accompanied us, and I lagged behind, gradually falling behind their pace. The officials' young ladies were all abuzz with excitement. Even from a distance, I could hear their praises of His Highness's handsome visage. Stealing a glance at him, I noticed that His Highness appeared remarkably invigorated today, more spirited than in recent days. It seemed he was aware of my gaze, as he turned to look in my direction. His Highness looked at me. Nonsense. His Highness was clearly looking at me. A disdainful voice interrupted their fantasies. Ha! You think you're worthy? His Highness is looking at my sister. Who else but my sister deserves the handsome and valiant crown prince? The familiar voice belonged to the daughter of the Prime Minister. I looked over and saw that she was indeed as beautiful as the rumors suggested. Although I had not ventured outside these days, the gossip had reached me. The Emperor intended to match the Prime Minister's daughter with His Highness as his consort. The rampant rumors had not been quelled, and their growing intensity threatened the young lady's reputation, indicating it was a foregone conclusion. Surely, His Highness had no objections. Otherwise, given his nature, he would have swiftly denied such claims. I felt a surge of joy, watching the young lady as if she were a treasure, completely unaware of my presence. That ominous voice echoed in my ear. What is little Seven gazing at among the young ladies? I jumped in surprise, nearly falling from my horse. The person was quick, catching me effortlessly. Before I could fully comprehend the situation, I found myself in their embrace, the familiar scent enveloping me as we rode together. Hearing the gasps around us, I finally grasped what had transpired. I knew I was somewhat slow to react, but I was certainly not foolish. Lowering my gaze to the hand that encircled my waist, a wave of panic washed over me. Surely, His Highness had recognized me as the person from that night. I stifled my trembling voice, murmuring my thanks, striving to maintain my composure as I awkwardly pulled on my horse's reins, attempting to conceal my awareness of the anomaly. Since His Highness had not immediately dealt with me, but instead continued to toy with me, it proved that I still had some leeway. This hunting trip was my final opportunity to escape. Xiaoqi has yet to answer my question. The prince chuckled softly in my ear, discreetly restraining my movements. I found myself ensnared in his embrace, unable to move even an inch. Fear gripped me, rendering me motionless, my mind in a haze. Did he intend to show mercy upon learning of my affection for another? A profound sense of injustice washed over me. That night was hardly my fault. He was the one at fault. I clenched my eyes shut and uttered a name through gritted teeth. The atmosphere around us turned icy in an instant. The prince tightened his hold on me, suddenly urging the horse forward with a sharp crack of the whip, causing it to gallop swiftly. It was my first experience being held while riding, and the heat surged through me, leaving me quite flustered. After what felt like an eternity, the prince finally brought the horse to a stop, and I leaned against him, blushing and panting heavily. Miraculously, my abdomen felt well protected, devoid of any unusual sensations. The prince appeared to be in high spirits. Xiaoqi, the sensation of holding you is quite familiar, as if. Your Highness. I hastily extricated myself from his embrace, dismounting and kneeling before him. Your Highness, I have already set my heart on another. I implore you not to tease me further. My heart cried out in despair. Why, despite my declaration of affection for another, did he still refuse to let me go? Was my demise truly inevitable? The prince looked down at me, his tone laced with a hint of barely concealed frustration. Very well, bring her before me. Do not dare to deceive me with empty words. My heart raced as I looked up, meeting his gaze, which bore a smile yet sent chills down my spine. Heaven has forsaken me. Even upon reaching the hunting camp, my mind was occupied with thoughts of how to find Cui Cui to appease him. However, soon enough, finding Cui Cui became the least of my worries. The prince, in a fit of anger, left me alone at the camp. Outside, a commotion erupted, with shouts of assassin ringing out. I was about to step outside to ascertain the situation when a flying sword darted into the tent. I made no move, as a shadow guard appeared and intercepted it. To my astonishment, the second daughter of the Prime Minister had seized the opportunity to slip into my tent. Her panicked expression soon morphed into disdain as she observed the chaos outside. Her eyes, filled with arrogance, regarded me as though I were a mere dog. So you are the male enchantress who clung to the prince in the East Palace not long ago? I clung to the prince? Her words felt completely bewildering. She moved closer, her tone dripping with contempt. How dare a lowly servant harbor thoughts of the crown prince? You are the very embodiment of my disgust. I interjected, Miss Ling, you must refrain from speaking such words in public. She paused, realizing her faux pas, her face paling, yet stubbornly refusing to acknowledge her mistake. She glared defiantly at me. Regardless, your attempts to seduce the crown prince are utterly shameless. A realization struck me. Why did my presence in the East Palace appear to others as an act of seduction towards the prince? Miss Ling, you are mistaken. I am merely an ordinary guard. She scoffed. An ordinary guard? An ordinary guard would not reside beside the prince's quarters. Who do you think you're fooling? Her words irked me. But that is beyond my control. Her disdain was palpable. So you have indeed seduced the prince. A man with the face of a woman is even more revolting. I darkened my expression, fixating my gaze upon her, and a sudden thought crossed my mind. It seemed the Prime Minister's residence was determined to secure a position by the prince's side. Perhaps I could exploit this to escape the capital. I mustered a warm smile for her. Miss Ling's face flushed with anger. Then she glared at me fiercely. Do not attempt to use your beauty to entice me. I will not be deceived. The crown prince and my elder sister are a perfect match. You would do well to recognize your place and depart swiftly, or you may not live to see another day. I paid her threats no heed, leaning closer and whispering into her ear. Initially puzzled, she soon wore an expression of shock. Are you telling the truth? I nodded eagerly, of course. Perhaps my earnest demeanor moved her. After a moment of contemplation, she agreed to collaborate with me. It is a promise. As I watched her retreating figure, a sense of relief washed over me, tinged with a hint of bitterness. Yet, my taut abdomen continually reminded me not to let emotions cloud my judgment. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Lying on my bed, I closed my eyes to gather my thoughts, striving to suppress my emotions. I must have drifted into slumber until evening. In my hazy state, I noticed the prince entering. Awake, wash your face, then come dine with me. Instantly alert, I quickly checked my attire, finding no signs of disarray. However, I felt a slight swelling in my lips. Remembering my recent bouts of morning puffiness, I dismissed my concern. Compliantly, I washed my face and followed the prince to the dining table. He raised an eyebrow, stealing glances at me, and I could distinctly sense his improving mood. He even served me several dishes I particularly enjoyed. My appetite had grown, and I ate with abandon. Slow down. No need to rush. It's all for you. My eyes lit up. Then I shall not hold back. With his encouragement, I fully indulged in the feast. Indeed, the dishes on the prince's table were exceptionally delectable. I devoured my food eagerly, stealing glances at him between bites. The pangs of unrequited longing began to seep back in. If only the prince were not the prince, perhaps I could. Due to the assassin incident, the prince ordered me to accompany him to the hunting grounds. Although I had struck a deal with Miss Ling, I still faced numerous glares from others. Fortunately, she helped me navigate the situation. Otherwise, I would have become a target for the disdainful ladies. I found myself easily fatigued and prone to hunger. Just as I was on the verge of exhaustion, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. The assassin from yesterday suddenly emerged from the thicket. By the time I registered the danger, the prince had already positioned himself in front of me. Your Highness, be careful. A sword pierced through his shoulder, eliciting a muffled grunt as he kicked it away. Without regard for his own safety, he shielded me with his body, commanding the soldiers with a serious, icy tone to capture the assassin. My hands trembled as I pressed on several acupoints to stabilize his breath. Under the cover of the other guards, I hastily assisted the prince back to his quarters. Quick, fetch the royal physician. The camp erupted into chaos upon sighting the prince, panic-stricken as they feared retribution from the emperor should anything happen to him. Not good. The royal physician has been assassinated. My pupils dilated in shock. The sword was poisoned. The prince lay on the bed, spitting blood. The surrounding attendants were red-eyed with anxiety, while some supporters of the third prince clamored to see the prince, as if fearing he might be in danger. The prince's gaze was frigid. Ha! A troop of clowns! My eyes narrowed, and I resolutely drew my sword. I charged outside and thrust my blade into the loudest troublemaker. They were utterly taken aback by my boldness, leaving the assembly in stunned silence. I surveyed their faces, a cold smile gracing my lips. The prince is recovering. Anyone who dares to make a nuisance will find my sword aimed at their heart next. The prince's trusted aides regained their confidence, forming a formidable barrier to escort them away. I exchanged glances with Miss Ling, hesitating for a moment before solemnly returning to the prince's side. With tears brimming in my eyes, I pulled aside his garments, yet he still found the strength to smile. This minor injury is of no consequence to me. Xiaoqi, do not worry. Your Highness, you are the crown prince of Daliang, the future pillar of our nation. You should not have shielded me from the sword. Silent tears streamed down my cheeks as he grasped my hand, intertwining our fingers. Surrounded by others, a reflexive urge to struggle surged within me. Instantly, I halted my movements and anxiously approached to assess his condition. Yet, with a forceful tug, he drew me closer, reducing the distance between us. Xiaoqi, I refuse to believe you do not comprehend my heart. I trembled. But we are both men. He interrupted, his gaze hazy yet unwavering as it locked onto mine. Trust me, Xiaoqi. I froze, tears streaming down my cheeks once more. Xiaoqi is not alone anymore, so do not cry. Upon uttering these words, his consciousness began to fade. A profound terror enveloped me. I had no time to ponder the prince's final words as I frantically called out to him, attempting to rouse him. Yet his lips had already turned dark, a stark testament to the potency of the poison coursing through him. My mind was in disarray, and my tightened abdomen began to stir restlessly. Suddenly, I recalled that the Shadow Guard possessed life-saving elixirs. However, they had yet to appear, and my own had been returned to the leader. Witnessing the prince's deteriorating condition, I instinctively pressed my hand to my abdomen, resolutely moving to his wound, siphoning the poisoned blood from him. Upon seeing the bright crimson blood, I exhaled in relief. Just then, the Shadow Guard returned. Upon seeing my efforts to buy the prince time, they hastily produced an elixir to administer to us. The prince's condition gradually improved, yet he remained unconscious for a long while, occasionally flushed and feverish. Word of these events reached the capital, inciting the emperor's wrath, prompting him to dispatch the grand imperial physician without delay. Upon taking the prince's pulse, the physician's expression turned grave as he prescribed a remedy and inquired whether the prince had encountered any troubles in recent months. The chief eunuch by the prince's side, Suzhou, did not dare to conceal the truth. Casting a meaningful glance in my direction, he revealed the incident involving the vile official and the fertility drug. The grand physician hesitated momentarily before stating, the residual poison within the prince can be cured with timely medication. The flushed warmth and fervor may be due to the lingering effects of the drug. I gazed at Suzhou in astonishment. It had been nearly 4 months. Was the drug's effect truly still present? He nodded, affirming that the prince experienced episodes monthly. He then glanced at me. Each time, the prince has endured. My heart skipped a beat and then raced uncontrollably. The grand physician, fuming, admonished Suzhou that they must not allow the prince to act recklessly. Without an antidote, he should seek a woman from the rear courtyard. The prince is the heir to Daliang. We must not take this lightly. Hearing this, my expression remained placid, yet my heart plummeted to the depths of despair. After sending the grand physician away, Suzhou offered a few words of instruction before leaving me alone by the prince's side. I lingered by him for a long time, silently gazing at his face in a daze. My hand unconsciously caressed his cheek, trailing downwards. Then, I took his hand and placed it upon my abdomen. I bitterly smiled within. Perhaps this was their only chance for interaction. In the dead of night, under the cover of others, I departed the camp. Your Highness, my existence is but a stain. One day, it will bring you harm. Please forgive my abrupt departure. I journeyed southward with utmost caution, traversing only narrow paths. After nearly half a month, I finally met my friend Fanting at the designated secret base. Upon pushing open the door, I found him reclining languorously on a couch, eyes closed in repose. You are quite late. Speak, how shall you compensate me? I ignored him, entering the room and shedding all restraints without hesitation. Since leaving, I had not bound myself. During my travels, my belly had grown significantly, nearly uncontainable. He sprang up, his eyes alight with curiosity. "Let me see your belly." He pulled me onto the couch, lifting my garments. His brow furrowed as he examined me. "Your belly." My heart raced with unease. "What's the matter? Is there a problem? You may be carrying twins." I was rendered speechless, unable to utter a word. After taking my pulse, he erupted in anger. "You still have residual poison within you. Do you seek death? Did you not think to see a doctor?" He hurriedly rummaged through his belongings, finally producing an elixir for me to take. He shot me a disapproving glance, exclaiming, "I told you to take care of this when it was first discovered. Now look, twins, what shall we do?" I hastily rose. "Nonsense. Did you not say you would assist me in childbirth? If you cannot even manage that, what good is your reputation as a healer?" I looked down at my belly, wondering how it could possibly contain two. "And why am I pregnant? I am a man." Fan Ting regarded me with a probing gaze. "Not so. The world is vast and full of wonders. Men giving birth is not unheard of. My master once spoke of a mysterious hidden family where men can bear children. You are an orphan. Perhaps you are one of their lost children." Reflecting on my childhood, filled with hardship and resentment towards my parents, I thought of how I had once fought for scraps and been poorly clothed. Were it not for the prince's kindness, I might have perished long ago. They have indeed committed many sins. Fan Ting chuckled awkwardly, swiftly changing the subject. "Does your esteemed companion know you've run away with a swollen belly?" "What esteemed companion? Do not speak foolishly." I shot him a glare, then sighed. "Our relationship is merely a chance occurrence. He is the crown prince. If the officials learn that he disregards ethics to engage in such affairs with a man, let me bear the blame." Fan Ting's gaze wandered uncertainly, his thoughts inscrutable. I knew that although he appeared carefree, his burdens were no lighter than mine. Previously, he had mentioned someone he admired and intended to propose to, yet the matter came to nothing. Fan Ting had secluded himself for a long time after that. It was only due to my predicament that he ventured out once more. Misery loves company, after all. I offered him comfort. "Thus, I will accompany you back to the Medicine Valley. You will assist in my childbirth, and we shall make a life together. After all, you are alone as well. I will let the child recognize you as its father." He gasped in shock.
Dono diest.
"What does it matter? Your Medicine Valley is hardly accessible to anyone." I turned over indifferently, my taut nerves relaxing as fatigue washed over me. "Hey, do not sleep. All right, I have traveled a long way without rest. I am utterly exhausted. Let me sleep, and we shall continue our journey upon my awakening." In the half-dreaming state, I felt someone caressing my abdomen. They even planted a kiss there. Startled awake, I found myself in a familiar embrace. As my senses returned, I held my abdomen, too stunned to move, filled with disbelief. I had been so careful throughout my journey, ensuring no one followed me. How could he possibly be here? Moreover, I had only just met Fan Ting. Trembling, I inquired, "Your Highness, why are you here?" He tightly embraced me, and I felt his body tremble. My heart tightened. "Your Highness, what is wrong? Are you unwell?" He did not respond, turning me back onto the couch. He leaned down, nuzzling my neck and nibbling at my ear. I shivered involuntarily. He chuckled softly, his voice hoarse as he said, "Xiao Qi has dared to leave with my child. Disobedient. Punishment is warranted. He knows." A warm sensation pressed against my lips, silencing my words. Amidst the intimate whispers, only our breaths filled the air. I pushed him away and attempted to retreat, but he refused to yield an inch. I felt his searing heat, and his unusual sigh echoed in my ears, reminding me of the Grand Physician's words. I pushed him away. "Your Highness, you must not seek out." Yet he pursued me once more. "Ah, Xiaoqi, how cruel you are. Why do you not consider my feelings, whether I am willing or not?" His tone was filled with grievance, yet his hands were audaciously bold. He actually took my hand and let it downward. "All I desire," he insisted, gripping my hand tightly, "is to be with Xiaoqi. Your Highness, do not call me Your Highness. Call me Qiheng." Tears streamed down my face as I allowed him to sway me. "Everything will be fine. Xiaoqi, do not be afraid." After a long while, he embraced me with a contented expression, planting a gentle kiss on my eyes. As he caressed my abdomen, he implored me repeatedly not to abandon him with the child. He demanded that I promise him with my own lips. I refused to utter a word, and his fervor intensified, leaning in closer. After several exchanges, I dazedly acquiesced. When I awoke, we were already on the road back to the capital. My heart raced with trepidation, only to discover it had all been in vain. As the carriage halted for a rest, in the absence of the prince, I gritted my teeth and resolved to confront Fantying for retribution. It was all his treachery. No wonder he had seemed so guilty that day. He had evidently been in cahoots with the prince, waiting for me to take the bait. When I finally located him, I found him conversing with a strikingly handsome man. Prince of Zhennan, I have ceased my pursuit as per your wishes. Please, kindly keep your distance from me, if you would. I quickly concealed myself, eavesdropping on their conversation with clarity. My jaw dropped in shock. The person Fantying intended to propose to was the Prince of Zhennan? How audacious of him! Yet it seemed the prince harbored feelings for someone deep within his heart, using Fantying's genuine affection to deceive him. He even intended to drive Fantying away from Zhennan Pass for that person, leaving Fantying heartbroken, thus enabling their union. Now, he was brazenly pursuing Fantying once more. Unable to contain my indignation, I rushed forward to pull Fantying away. However, the Prince of Zhennan blocked my path. I glared at him in fury, nearly laughing in disbelief. A dignified Prince of Zhennan, coercing and entangling himself with a commoner? Are you not afraid of public ridicule? The prince, however, was fixated on my face, his expression growing more somber. Upon seeing him gaze at me so intently, Fantying struggled free from his grip, positioning himself protectively in front of me. Do not look at him with those disgusting eyes. He is not someone you can covet. Yet the prince's eyes turned red. So similar, truly so similar. Fantying was momentarily stunned, gritting his teeth as he growled, "Chinchi, enough. Aiding, I am not deceiving you. This time, I absolutely will not mistake him. He looks exactly like my little father. He must be my brother." Both Fantying and I stood in shock. I tugged at Fantying's sleeve, inquiring about the situation. After a moment of eye contact, Fantying was just as bewildered. I could hardly fathom that the secluded family he had mentioned was actually connected to the Prince of Zhennan. The prince, overwhelmed with joy, wept at the sight of me. However, when his gaze fell upon my belly, his expression darkened instantly. "You are pregnant? The one the crown prince seeks is you?" He was furious, grasping my hand and intending to leave with Fantying, but was obstructed by the soldiers surrounding the prince. The Prince of Zhennan scoffed. "Do you think you can stop me with this rabble? What a grand joke!" With a command, the concealed soldiers surged forth. Both sides, one from the south and one from the north, eyed each other warily, eager to display their prowess. But the returning crown prince intervened. The four of us sat within the carriage. The prince held me close, disregarding the Prince of Zhennan's ire. "You claim Xiaoqi is your long-lost brother. Present your evidence. If I knew you were searching for a brother, I would never entertain a bargain with you." The Prince of Zhennan gazed at me with a pained and resentful expression, seeking solace from Fantying. Fantying turned away. We both ignored him. It seemed I had been captured so swiftly due to the secretive information provided by the Prince of Zhennan. His expression stiffened, and with a bitter smile, he divulged everything. If his words were true, I was not abandoned but rather taken by an enemy. My family had always been searching for me. My father, nearly blinded by tears for me, even at the moment of his passing, he entrusted the Prince of Zhennan with finding me. I stifled my emotions and calmly inquired, "If we are indeed siblings, why do we not resemble each other?" The Prince of Zhennan's looks were unparalleled. Second to none, none dared to claim the first. Even the daughters of the Prime Minister would pale in his presence. I believed I bore no resemblance to him. "You and my little father are practically carved from the same mold. You must be my brother." "They all say I resemble my father more," I retorted. "Additionally, my little father once mentioned that we both bear birthmarks on our thighs, yours on the left, mine on the right." He cast a glance at Fantying, a flush creeping onto his face. "Aiding and the Crown Prince can attest to this, right?" Fantying choked on his water and erupted into a fit of coughing. "Indeed, I had a birthmark on the inner side of my left thigh." After both sides sketched it out, the Prince of Zhennan embraced me tightly, weeping like a child. Tears streamed down my own cheeks as well. After the sorrow subsided, the Prince of Zhennan joyfully held my hand, refusing to let go, declaring his intent to take me back to Zhennan Pass for ancestral worship. He shot a fierce glare at the prince and coldly remarked, Once my brother's child is born, they shall be recorded in the family tree. Our Qin family's children must not be lost to the world. The prince continued to smile, though a chill emanated from his gaze. Xiaoqi will naturally return, but not at this moment. After I marry Xiaoqi, and the child turns 1, I shall take Xiaoqi back to pay respects to our ancestors. The Prince of Zhennan scoffed. Your Highness should first navigate the bureaucratic hurdles, gaining the approval of the Emperor and Empress before discussing marriage. Besides, that stepmother of yours would be delighted to see you forever incapacitated, ensuring her precious son ascends to the throne. Furthermore, you have just survived an assassination attempt and are yet to recover. With that, what qualifications do you possess to protect my brother? My brother will return to Zhennan Pass, where he will find friends and family, and thus be happy. As thoughts of those tenacious officials crossed my mind, silence enveloped us. This is not without precedent. What is there to fear? Even if your ancestors had male consorts, the societal norms have drastically changed. Ordinary officials may overlook this, but you are different. You are the crown prince. I drooped my head in despondence, bitterly stating, Your Highness, he speaks the truth. My presence will only complicate matters for you. I shall return to Zhennan Pass first, and once the child is born, you may send someone to visit them at any time. The prince tightened his grip on my hand, his gaze revealing a dangerous glint. He then uttered words that were exceedingly arrogant, befitting of his status. And so what if it is? Should you wish to be eternally scorned, do not drag my brother into it. Historical records, they are penned by the victors. Who dares to speak out against them, or they shall be punished. The prince cast a sidelong glance at Fanting. I presume the Prince of Zhennan thinks the same? I am not like you. The customs of Zhennan Pass are liberal. Men can marry one another. The prince laughed heartily, his resolve unwavering. You speak the truth. Indeed, the capital is far too conservative. Noticing me shrink back, he raised his hand and playfully flicked my nose. I have stated that everything will be fine. Why does Xiaoqi continuously doubt me? It truly deserves a punishment. Ignoring the presence of others, he allowed me to lean against him, drawing closer to my lips. He then kissed me fiercely. His agile movements left me no time to evade, and as he withdrew, a silver thread lingered at the corner of his mouth, casting a provocative glance at the Prince of Zhennan. The prince was thoroughly enraged. Li Qiheng, you scoundrel! The prince paid him no heed, instead whispering sweet nothings into my ear, igniting a fervor within me. That night, he indeed spoke of everything concerning himself. Yet, who would have anticipated the context of such a scene? I twisted his waist with a firm grip. He feigned pain and put on a display before the king of Zhennan. Only after witnessing the king's discomfort did he slowly divulge the arrangements he had left in the capital prior to this journey. With a playful smile, he expressed regret that time was too tight, otherwise, he would have truly wished to witness the spectacle of the third prince and the emperor, father and son, at odds. I was well aware of the prince's methods, killing with invisible hands. Some even held gratitude towards him in their hearts, even as they met their demise. I subtly urged Fan Ting to escort the king of Zhennan away swiftly, lest he be noted in the prince's ledger. Reluctantly, the king complied, but Fan Ting merely exchanged a glance with him before disembarking from the carriage. The king bit his lip, struggling for a moment, yet ultimately followed suit. Brother, I apologize. I can no longer let him go. It was best to address the matters between them sooner rather than later. Noticing my preoccupation, the prince nuzzled against my neck with a hint of melancholy. Little Seven can only gaze upon me. How was I to know he could be so clingy? With no other choice, I had to placate him. However, he gradually shifted downward, pausing at my chest. Suddenly struck by an idea, he chuckled softly and whispered something in my ear. My cheeks flushed crimson as I hastily adjusted my attire, casting an annoyed glance at him. I then lowered my gaze to my chest. Surely it couldn't be. When the king of Zhennan returned, I would have to inquire thoroughly. Before we could even return to the capital, we had already been ambushed by several assassins. To give the factions in the capital a good push, we pretended to be outmatched and leaped off a cliff. Indeed, it wasn't long before the news of the emperor falling gravely ill spread like wildfire. The various factions engaged in both overt and covert struggles, leaving the citizens of the capital in a state of trepidation, and officials scurried about, fearful of inadvertently implicating themselves. Due to the formidable power of the third prince, he was eventually appointed to govern in the emperor's stead. Reports suggested that the empress dowager and the third prince attended to the emperor daily, forbidding visits from other princes, while clandestine machinations continued unabated. It seems the third prince holds the upper hand, daring even to poison his own father. Truly, like mother, like son, one remarked. Him? He is merely a buffoon, another scoffed. The prince fed me a spoonful of kanji, smiling lightly. That one could never be so easily manipulated. Just wait, the real drama is yet to unfold. He had previously recounted the tale of the late empress. The emperor had treated her as a target, and she had been tortured to death by the other consorts. Only after her death did the emperor awaken to his folly. With the beauty gone, he harbored both love and resentment for his son, bestowing the title of crown prince upon him, yet turning a blind eye to the prince being targeted by the consorts and ridiculed by the officials. He would occasionally offer a few sweet morsels, compelling the prince to express gratitude and engage in pretense. The prince's path was fraught with difficulty. Compounded grievances left no room for surprise at his animosity towards the emperor. I gently patted his back, offering comfort. The shadow guards silently returned to the prince's side. After reporting the situation in the capital, they departed. Before leaving, the leader approached me, hesitating as he gazed at my belly, his astonishment betraying his emotions. He patted my shoulder. Achi, the brothers wanted me to convey a message. Achi has prospered. Should fortune favor you, do not forget us. I twitched my lips. Are you sure they aren't just mocking me about taking over? The leader cleared his throat. Ahem, let us not speak of what is understood. Now, take care of yourself. By the next time we meet, I shall have to pay my respects. After learning of my condition, while they were surprised, the brothers did not look at me with any judgment, but rather expressed concern for my health, which invigorated me. Leader, thank you for your care over the years. He waved his hand and vanished into the distance. The capital grew increasingly chaotic. The oppressed fourth and fifth princes accused the third prince of patricide, rallying under the banner of cleansing the court. According to the citizens, that night, the sky was drenched in a crimson hue, and the air was thick with the scent of blood. No one dared to venture outside, fearful of the repercussions. Under the prince's covert machinations, the third prince, blinded by rage, even killed the other two princes. The emperor could no longer maintain the facade. He spat blood and commanded his trusted subordinates to apprehend the third prince. Yet somehow the third prince met an untimely end as well. The empress dowager and the mothers of the fourth and fifth princes wept until their eyes were blinded. Subsequently, in a fit of rage, the emperor stripped them of their titles, abandoning them to perish in the cold palace. This time the emperor was truly ill. Apart from the infant in swaddling clothes, his remaining son was the missing crown prince. By the time he decreed that he wished to see someone alive or dead, we had already returned to the capital. The officials received the news the following day. Their aloof crown prince returned, embracing a man with a pronounced belly no less. Surprisingly, there was little reaction. Upon learning that I carried twins, they rejoiced and congratulated the prince. The king of Zhen could scarcely believe it. After observing for a few days and confirming that there were indeed no major issues, he received a letter and hastily departed the capital. Fan Ting did not accompany him but, after his departure, drank heavily. I dared not interfere in their affairs. The prince, pleased, sought my praise, inquiring about a reward. Just then, the emperor's envoy arrived at our residence searching for him. I chided, "You must go at once. Do not waste time." The prince was reluctant to leave me alone and wished to take me along, but was stopped by the chief eunuch of the inner court. "Your Highness, the emperor's decree requires only you to attend. Please do not make it difficult for me." The prince gazed deeply at him, and the chill in his eyes caused the eunuch to shudder, yet he steeled himself to refuse. The prince did not press, giving a few instructions to his guards, embracing me and whispering sweetly in my ear before departing. No sooner had he left than I pretended to feel drowsy and went to rest. True to form, an obstacle appeared midway. However, before they could approach me, they were subdued by the hidden guards of the residence and the attendants the king of Zhennan had left behind. The prince did not return for a long time, and Fan Ting was taken with him. I did not worry, patiently awaiting news in the residence. After 2 days of waiting, I could no longer sit still when the emperor's marriage decree arrived, summoning me to the court. The emperor leaned against the side of the bed, and upon seeing my swollen belly, his disdain was unmasked, yet he had no choice but to acquiesce. "I have granted your wish. Cough, cough. Quickly summon the divine physician to concoct medicine for me. Cough, cough, cough." The prince remained unresponsive, standing beside me, gently inquiring about my condition over the past 2 days. Your Highness, the old emperor coughed violently, his veins bulging, yet no one dared to step forward. They all lowered their heads, and the timid had already knelt on the ground, trembling. Even the emperor's most trusted ministers and the shadow guards hidden nearby remained unmoved. You deceive me? His voice was laced with despair, his murky gaze fixed upon the prince. You control them all. Do you also wish to commit parricide? The prince did not even glance at him. He ceased to struggle, collapsing onto the bed with his eyes shut. The actions of the fourth and fifth were orchestrated by you, were they not? And the third as well. Their mother and son harbored great ambitions, cough, 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 yet they lacked the true audacity for such a deed. Without someone to guide them, they would not dare poison me. You are brothers. Why must you seek to annihilate one another? I rolled my eyes multiple times. In a voice audible to all, he muttered, Indeed, indeed. Several princes may be pure and flawless, yet without guidance, they amount to nothing. The old emperor, upon hearing this, became increasingly agitated, coughing more frequently, even spitting blood. His Highness gestured for Fan Ting to sustain the old emperor's life. After a few needles, the old emperor was rendered unable to move, his mouth sealed shut, reduced to merely blinking his eyes. What does Father Emperor say? At the time of the incident, I was still evading pursuers, he asserted. My younger brothers have suffered misfortune, and as their elder brother, it pains me greatly. However, I cannot bear the weight of this accusation. He grasped my hand and approached the old emperor, leaning down to whisper in his ear. I witnessed him murmur a few phrases that caused the old emperor's eyes to widen in shock, leading him to roll his eyes and faint. I was left in the dark about the exact words that provoked such ire in the old emperor. Fan Ting, like a skilled marionette, expertly stabilized the old emperor's condition. On the way back, His Highness meticulously detailed a series of wedding arrangements, his voice a constant stream of chatter. At last, he squatted in front of me, speaking earnestly to my belly as though addressing our child. You must be good, all right? Do not tire your father. Observing the childlike demeanor of His Highness, my heart softened. I suddenly felt a pressure in my chest. Due to carrying twins, my belly had grown quite large at 7 months. I paid little mind to it, and fatigue soon claimed me as I fell asleep in His Highness's embrace. As I approached 9 months, the size of my belly became unbearable, and I could do little but lie in bed, enduring discomfort. His Highness remained by my side daily, even relocating court matters to our courtyard. Each night, he insisted on sharing my bed. No amount of urging could dissuade him. Before the birth of our children, the Prince of Zhennan hastened back to the capital. He, weary from travel, presented me with a pill and urged me to take it. Brother, this is a secret medicine from home, left by our little father. He instructed that I should take it. He blushed as he glanced at Fan Ting. Coughed, my face warming with embarrassment. His Highness passed the pill to Fan Ting, who examined it before handing it to me. Accompanying the prince was a young woman, said to be a descendant of the sacred physician who had left our clan. They were entrusted with the birthing process, and the woman was eager to remain by my side, observing my condition. Jealous, His Highness ordered that she could only stay during the day, while at night she was confined to the adjacent courtyard unless summoned. Frustrated, she sought refuge with the prince, who was perpetually occupied with Fan Ting, leaving her to endure her vexation. At last, with the assistance of the 2 esteemed physicians, I successfully gave birth to twins, a pair of dragon and phoenix offspring, the first of their kind in the Deliang royal family. Upon their arrival, auspicious signs descended from the heavens, prompting nationwide celebrations, which facilitated His Highness's ascension to the throne and silenced any lingering doubts regarding my position by his side. Following the enthronement ceremony came the grand wedding. Reluctant to step into the limelight, I found myself compelled to grant him a name. Thus I acquiesced. The wedding preparations were exceedingly elaborate. The head maid exclaimed in mild annoyance but took no offense at my rudeness, seizing my bowl with a stern expression. However, the swelling in my chest reminded me that the time had come. With the help of the matrons, I bashfully expelled the contents, feeling a sense of relief as I noticed His Highness, no, the Emperor, gazing at me with fervent eyes. With a wave of his hand, we were left alone in the chamber. In the warmth of spring, he nestled against my chest, refusing to relent despite my pleas. Shao-Chi is so sweet, he teased, uttering the most scandalous words. From now on, this shall only be for me, all right? I refused, yet he slowed his pace, occasionally surging forward, compelling me to concede. To my surprise, this only fueled his excitement. The battle concluded just as I felt myself on the brink of fainting. Before sleep, he tenderly kissed me. Xiaoqi, I shall love you forever. I nodded earnestly, returning his kiss. All right, it's a promise. The end of the tale. Thank you for listening. We shall meet again in the next story.